And welcome back to the WHTC Morning News for this Thursday, May 21st. I do want to take care of one little housekeeping note. A little bit of a behind-the-scenes situation. Just before I went on the air with Leo Martinozzi, Mouth to Mouth at the top of the hour, just before the top of the hour, my headphones had a little loose piece on the left side, starting to hear, and that means the left ear I couldn't hear out of. I have enough problems hearing out of my right. I need my left ear too. So we had to make the switch during the break, and so if I sound a little bit weird, I'm just got to get used to these newer headphones. But it's a symbol, I think, to a certain extent of trying to get used to the new normal that we are all experiencing in Western society on this Thursday, May 21st. Thursday mornings, though, some things are still, shall we say, normal. And Thursday mornings, we have a chance to chat with Congressman Bill Huizenga of R-Zeeland, who has been gracious enough to join us via the Zoom connection, and he does so now from his second congressional district haunts. And Bill, good morning and welcome back to Talk of the Town. Pardon me, to WHTC Morning News.
Good to be with you. It would be good if it was Talk of the Town too. It kind of is on HTC all the time, right?
Well, doing the 6-hour thing 5 days a week since early July. Sometimes one gets confused, but I apologize for that. But anyway,
you've definitely been more than doing your fair share on the air there, Gary. So can I tell you one quick funny story?
Go right ahead.
I promise to make it quick. So many of you know my wife Natalie is. We met at Calvin, but she's from Canada originally, and she grew up kind of a big city girl. And so we're newly married, and we needed something fixed at the house. And my mom says, "Well, we'll just call Juke." And Natalie's like, "Who's Juke?" and now that I'm remembering, we were having like a deck built or like a handyman thing and she goes, "Well, we'll just call in to talk of the town, and we'll get somebody." And Natalie was like, "How in the world does this possibly work?" So my mom calls in. "Yeah, Juke, we're looking for a handyman, and we'd like to have some options, right?" So pause for a second. Yep, phone rings. "Yeah, Juke, I'm a handyman. Here's my phone number." And like 2 or 3 people call in, and my mom turns to my wife and she's like, "There you go. Welcome to Holland."
Tradition. By the way, over my left shoulder, I really can't reach it right now. Juke did leave behind that box of goodies, as he says, as long, his files from all the people that he referenced with. Some of them, of course, not doing it anymore. It's kind of tough for me to get to anyway. But let's talk about some of the things we can get to right now, Bill. And first of all, last time President Trump came to Michigan, I believe you were on Air Force One heading back to Michigan with the president. Of course, now it's a little different situation, but the president making an appearance to sort of say thank you to those making the ventilators. But there are those critics who say, A, it's a campaign stop, it's disguised as a thank you visit, and B, hey, where is the COVID-19 test? We need that more than we need a presidential visit.
I think the power of the presidency, by the way, these are the same people that during the Obama administration wanted them everywhere, whether it was during N1H1 flu and all the other things that were going on. That's part of the job of a president, is to go and check in. And yes, oftentimes it is symbolic when they are going, and we don't know whether the president goes to visit the floods in Midland or not. And by the way, those folks are in our thoughts and prayers. One, in fact, my colleague John Molinar, Congressman Molinar, had to be evacuated out of his house as well. And so this is real stuff. Or whether it's going to the Ford plant to say thank you to the employees for doing what they're doing, or that trip that I took into Southeast Michigan with him. This was the day after he signed the new NAFTA, the USMCA. Those are very important, symbolic things that a president can do. And you also do get on the ground intel. I mean, it's a little like, me being able to get around the second district via Zoom only, or do I actually physically go out? And the other day I was up in Muskegon. I was in Muskegon Heights and talked with the police chief and the fire chief. And I went to Mercy Hospital and talked to the chief medical officer and visited with nurses and doctors and PAs. And there is a certain aspect of this job that you have to do and should do in person. And I think what most presidents do is the longer they're in there, the more of a bunker mentality they get. This president is very much the opposite. He wants to be out. He wants to be seeing people. There shouldn't be any restriction on that. That obviously they're using what they believe are the cautions and the safety precautions that they need to take.
There's also concern about the fact that it's on the taxpayers' dime with this presidential visit, where it might be more of a campaign thing.
Every single visit is on the taxpayer's dime, unless it is a campaign event. Interestingly enough, when I flew in with him into Southeast Michigan, he was going to Iowa on a campaign stop. So guess what? My leg of the trip was actually paid for by the campaign. That was all adds up. They are very strict about what rules are official business and what are not.
Bill Huizenga, Zeeland Congressman, I'm going to ask your take on some of the squabbles that the president has had with Michigan's elected leaders, most recent with Jocelyn Benson about the fact that she is going to mail applications for absentee ballots. The president thought she was actually mailing ballots for the August election, and Jocelyn Benson taking a page from Gretchen Whitmer, Governor Whitmer's book, saying, "My name is Jocelyn Benson," because the president didn't refer to her by name in the tweet, but it just seems as it's, a little bit of pettiness. And some say, president might not give Michigan some funds because of his squabbles with the elected leaders. Again, this sounds a little petty to me.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen. And I saw those early press reports as well. I actually called a couple of my county clerks, going, "Really, what's going on?" They're the ones that pointed out to me that the media had it wrong. There was I forget if it was Detroit Free Press or Detroit News, was referring to it as ballots rather than the ballot application. And so the Secretary of State is correct in that Michigan law has changed. That was a change that many of us have been very cautious about. I don't think that was necessarily the right direction to go, but that is the law of how anyone can request an absentee ballot. This no reason absentee ballot really is another step towards just voting by mail, which some people really want to do. I don't think that's the most secure way to do our elections. But at the end of the day, I'm fighting to make sure that Michigan gets its fair share. But here's an interesting thing. Michigan is one of, I believe it is 32 states, according to the National League of Cities, that has not distributed any of the COVID dollars that came in through the CARES Act. And I talked to a state rep yesterday who was shaking his head, saying, yeah, they're aware. The governor is holding this money back from the cities. And in the CARES Act, any county or city over the population of 500,000 people, so that's only the city of Detroit and a number of counties, including Kent County, but none others in West Michigan, they got direct money in. Everyone else was going to have to get it through the state, and the state of Michigan and the governor have not distributed a single dime as of yet to those counties and local municipalities for COVID expenses. That is absolutely the wrong thing to be doing, and she ought to change that now.
We'll see if some actions will be done along those lines. And finally, I do need to bring this up with you, and it's something we talk about on an annual basis this time of year. Of course, there will not be a parade this year, and there will not be a formal ceremony at Pilgrim Home Cemetery. But Memorial Day, certainly something we talk about on an annual basis, Bill, a very special day because of your dad, what he served, and for all those who have given their lives to our country.
Yeah, and sorry, I just about called you Juke there.
That's
So
okay.
one back. Gary, actually, I had a special morning yesterday morning. The city of Zeeland went through with their ceremony, and they videoed it. So City Council asked me to join them. It was City Council, the American Legion, the Gilbert Karsten Post, and we actually did the ceremony at the cemetery. Came in with masks and were properly separated, and it was still very moving, even with just a few people. And it was interesting; people were stopping as they were walking, and just watched. And you're right. For me, it's I heard two names called on the roll: William Huizenga, my namesake, who fought in World War I, and my dad Gerald. And it's a very moving time as we think of those men and women who have served our country. Who have done so admirably, and for some of those who paid the ultimate price. And last year, as you and I were talking about, right about this time, I was getting ready to go to Normandy. There was a group of us, a CODEL, they call it, a congressional delegation that was going for the 75th anniversary of the invasion, and this is. This is something that we cannot forget. It is too valuable, too important, and too high a cost that our country has paid to forget about. And we got to continue that fight for freedom and liberty and opportunity. And I'm going to continue to do that. And I know so many others will. And let's just thank a veteran this weekend, even though it's Memorial Day. It is a cause to take a moment and not just worry about yard work, but worry about and think about what's happening for our future.
He is Zeeland Congressman Bill Huizenga, who joins us most Thursday mornings to talk about some of the things going on under normal circumstances in Washington, but in the 2nd Congressional District today via Zoom connection. Bill, thank you very much as always, and we look forward to chatting with you again next Thursday morning.
Thanks, Gary, and look for that on YouTube for the Zeeland Cemetery on Monday. So they're going to be getting that out, and we'll be getting it out via my website as well.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Bill Huizenga on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.